Hi everyone, today I'm going to be teaching you guys what to do when your tire pops while you're driving. First thing you're going to do is you're going to turn on your hazards and brake gently. If you brake really hard, your car may move out of control, and that's no good. After you pulled off to the side of the road, put your car in park and pull the handbrake up if you're driving an automatic. If you're driving a manual, put it in gear and pull the handbrake up and make sure the car is completely off. Make sure that the car is on a level surface, an even ground. If you're on a hill or even maybe a slight incline, it could cause the car to fall off the jack and potentially do harm to you and the car itself. So now that we're parked and we've got everything going, we need to find our spare tire. Alrighty, so most cars have spare tires in the trunk, right underneath a hidden panel in the floorboards. Sometimes in your manual it says that it's underneath the car, or sometimes in sports cars, luxury cars, or sometimes electric cars, they don't have spare tires, in which case this video is not very useful. But my car does have a spare tire, and it's located right here on the side. Before you jack up the car, you want to make sure that the hubcaps are off. And to do that, there's a tool like this, where it has a flat end on one side. And most hubcaps are plastic, and they're fairly easy to get off. Sometimes you can pry them off by just wedging your fingers in between them and pulling on each little tab on them. Or you can use a little tool and you can pry them off. This car, however, does not have hubcaps on it right now, and so it makes it very easy to change a tire. Once you've got the hubcap off, you're going to want to loosen the lug nuts just a little bit. If you loosen them too much, the wheel will fall off without you jacking up the car, and that's not good. So we're loosening them a little bit so it makes it easier to take them off once the car is jacked up. So what you're going to do is you're going to just put the tool on there, and you're going to do lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, obviously, right? But you want to go left over the top rather than left over the bottom, because you're turning them different ways technically. So we're turning left, and it can be sometimes kind of hard to get them off. So you just use a little bit of elbow grease, and they should loosen. Now that we've got them loosened up, we can jack up the car. First thing we're going to do is find our jack point. And our jack point is the point in which the jack connects to the car. And if you don't find the jack point and just stick it under there, it's going to do damage to the car, and the car is probably, more often than not, going to fall off. And that is not good because it can damage the car and it can damage you pretty severely. Cars are heavy. On the car that we're using today, the jack point is of the hook type, and it's this thing right here. And you can see on the jack that the jack itself is a hook. The hook here goes into the post there. On some cars, you'll have rectangular jack points, which is just a little bit of metal that you put the jack onto, but a lot of them will have jacks like this. Now we've got to put the two pieces of the jack together, the main jack portion and the jack handle. You see there is a little tab there that gets inserted into this right here. So close up, we can see it goes in there, and now we're locked together. With the handle here, we can use both hands on it and turn it like so to raise the jack. And once the jack is somewhat high, we can hook it right onto the jack point. We jack it up until it touches the ground, like this. As you start to jack, the car will start to raise. You can see the body of the car raising right now. You're also going to give the jack, once the car starts to raise, a little bit of a shake just to make sure that it's in the right place. It's not off kilter or anything. You want to make sure the feet of the jack are even on the ground. But we spin it until we get our tire off the ground. As you're jacking it up and working on it, you don't want any of yourself being under the car, because if the car falls, it'll crush you. And that is not a good thing, I guarantee you. All right, here is our spare wheel, and we've got to put this thing on. First thing we do is look at these bolts right here. We got to kind of memorize what pattern they're in so that it's easy to line up the holes to put the wheel on. Approximately right there. And we lift it up till the holes and the lugs are lining up, and then we got it on here. Alrighty, now we're getting the lug nuts back on. We want to make sure our wheel is all the way on there, and we're going to very loosely thread all of the lug nuts on. and we want to thread them on in a star pattern, which means it looks like a star, as if you're going to draw a star. Here, one here, then one here, and then one here, and then one right here. And you can see how that kind of makes a star pattern. I go this one, this one, this one, this one, then this one. Now this step is very important because if you don't put them on and tighten them in a star pattern, the wheel could become unbalanced and fall off while you're driving. Let's tighten these up in a star pattern. We go this top one here. Tighten it so it's touching the wheel. Then we go down to this bottom one. We tighten it till it's touching the wheel. We do this one till it's touching the wheel, this one till it's touching the wheel, and then this one till it's touching the wheel. Now that we've got them all tightened down in a star pattern loosely, we want to go and tighten them a little bit more, and then going down a little bit more, and then a little bit more, a little bit more, and a little bit more. And then we want to start at the top again. Do this one, tighten it more. 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 And do this one, tighten it more. Now we've got them all almost tight, really close to being tight, where we're going to want to drop the car back onto the ground. It's pretty simple. You just take this jack over here, the handle that we used earlier right here, and you rotate it the opposite way than the way you jacked it up. And the car should sit back down. Make sure you don't have any tools or any body parts underneath the car. Alright, so let's jack this thing down, tighten up the rest of the wheel, and we'll be good to go. Now that we've got it back down, we're going to want to finish tightening them the rest of the way. And on most cars, you're going to want to tighten it basically as hard as you can. So we do, or the very top bolt, we tighten it down. Then we do this other bolt in a star pattern. We tighten it down. And see how much the car is moving when I tighten it like this? I've got it in gear and the parking brake set all the way to the max. And so that's why it's important to drop it down before you tighten them all the way. And then we go to this one, tighten it all the way. And we go to this one, tighten it all the way. Then we go to our last one, tighten it all the way. And now our spare wheel is on. You want to make sure that you don't drive on this thing over 50 miles an hour because spare tires are normally not meant to go that fast and they can just explode because normally spare tires are pretty old and they're just not designed for it. So don't drive over 50, and as soon as you can, get this thing to a shop and get it repaired properly because the spare tire is really only temporary. And now you guys know how to change a spare tire. I hope everyone learned something. Bye-bye.